in this video, I'm going to be going through what the program is, who it's for, how the program works, some details into the structure of the program, i.e. how many workouts a week there are, what type of workouts they are, and overall my sort of closing thoughts on the program, and most importantly, the results I got from doing the program myself. So the program is a 10-week weightlifting program, and it's aimed at people who are relatively new to weightlifting, people with, I would say, kind of 3 to 9 month experience doing the snatch and the clean and jerk. If you're completely brand new to weightlifting, like you've never even touched a barbell before, this is definitely not a program for you. I'd recommend just getting used to doing the lifts first and then moving on to doing the program. One of the precursors to doing the program is that you've already tested your max on your snatch and your clean and jerk. So you have to have a max number for those lifts before you do the program. It doesn't have to be high, but you do have to have gotten to a point where you can max out the lifts safely and effectively with kind of okay form. So the program is £28 or $34. So after you buy the program, you'll get a link to a Google Docs file, and the Docs file is going to have the program guide, which is going to answer any questions you might have, frequently asked questions. So for example, warm-ups, nutrition, and just overall like a guideline on how the program works. And also on this file, there are going to be 2 links. One is the link to the actual program, which is a Google Docs spreadsheet, where you'll be inputting data for your lifts. And you'll be looking at that week on week to check what you're doing. And then there's a second link, which is a YouTube video, which takes you to a video of Clarence himself actually going through the program and explaining what you need to do in order to get yourself set up and so you can start working out as soon as possible. Once you've opened up the spreadsheet, so the Google Docs spreadsheet, which is where your program actually is, then you're going to be able to save a copy of that to your own Google Drive, which is then yours to edit to do what you want. You can't edit the copy that Clarence shares with you via the payment page. You have to download a copy and then rename it or save it to your own drive before you can start editing it. And there's an input box at the top where you'll put in your current max numbers for all of your lifts, or your best estimates for those numbers for all of your lifts, which will be your snatch, your clean and jerk, your front squat, your back squat, and your push press. And then from these numbers, it will calculate the numbers that you'll be lifting for the entirety of the 10 weeks of the program across that entire spreadsheet. There are 6 workouts a week, although one day is optional and it's a lighter day. You can skip this one if you want to. The program is split into 2 5-week microcycles. Each workout consists of either 3 or 4 movements, and each day is the exact same workout. So the workout that you do on day 1, week 1 will be the exact same workout that you do on day 1, week 2, day 1, week 3, day 1, week 4, and day 1, week 5. It's the exact same workout all the way across. So you'll be doing also the same number of sets and reps. If, for example, on week 1, day 3, you were to do 5 sets of 3 snatch, 5 sets of 2 power clean and jerk, 4 sets of 3 snatch pull, and then 5 sets of 3 front squat. Week 2 will be exactly the same, except it will just be a very small increment higher. So 2.5 kilos heavier or 5 kilos heavier, depending on if it's a squat or a pull. For the entirety of the program, you're going to be doing at most 10 different movements. So that's going to be a snatch, a clean and jerk, a power snatch, power clean and jerk, hang snatch, snatch pull, clean pull, push press, front squat, and back squat. And that's literally the only movements you're going to be doing. You're going to be practicing those 10 movements in some combination or another throughout the entirety of the program. Every workout starts with a snatch or a snatch variant. Then it moves on to a clean and jerk variant. Then it will move on to either straight into a squat, a push press, or a pulling variant, a clean or a snatch pull. And that is literally the structure of the entirety of the workouts. In the last 2 weeks of the program, you progressively max out each lift that you originally input, so that snatch, clean and jerk, front squat, back squat, and push press. You'll be progressively maxing them out over the 2 weeks so that you can see the progress you've made throughout the program. So you'll be maxing out all of those once, with the exception of the snatch and the clean and jerk, which you actually max out twice. Once on the penultimate week of the program, so week 9, and then once on the last week of the program, which is week 10. Before starting the program, my max snatch was 85 kilos, and it was with pretty shoddy form. And my max clean and jerk was 100 kilos, although I hadn't tested it in a while before starting the program. max back squat was 160. And I had never actually tested my max front squat previously, but I think conservatively it probably would have been around the 125 kilo mark. After the program, having completed the full 10 weeks, my max snatch was 100 kilos, well, still is 100 kilos.
Yes! Come on!
Clean and jerk got up to 120 kilos. And my back squat was 170 kilos.
Yes! Come on!
So overall, across those 3 lifts, there was a 35 kilo gain. I haven't included the front squat in that because I didn't really have a max lift beforehand. But I think the most important factor to consider that actually was probably the biggest reason why those lifts increased is that my form improved. There's a really, really significant improvement in the form, especially in my snatch, but also in my clean and jerk. The lifts are very technical lifts, so you do need to work on the form of them. Just getting stronger isn't enough to make sure that you're going to get better at the snatch and the clean and jerk. This is a very, very difficult and high volume program, which is why previously I said it's not for someone who is very, very new to the lifts. You want to have at least a couple months of practicing these lifts and getting used to those movement patterns before you get into this program, because it's very, very difficult. And not only is it difficult, it actually gets progressively harder as you go through the program due to the nature of how the progressive overload works. For example, when you first start out the program, you'll be starting off on a relatively light weight, a weight that is kind of easy for you to do for most of these lifts. But then because the sets and the reps don't change, i.e. the volume stays exactly the same, and the weight increases week after week after week by 2.5 kilos or 5 kilos, depending on whether it's a snatch and clean and jerk variant or whether it's a squat or a pull variant, the program gets progressively harder as you go on. Your body is going to feel extremely fatigued. You're going to start to have a lot of accumulated fatigue from all that time. And Clarence himself actually recommends at the end of this program to take at least 1, maybe even 2 weeks off of weightlifting and just do other things to give your body a chance to fully recover. In spite of that, I still do believe that this is a very, very good program for the main reason that it forces you to practice the lifts with a very, very high frequency. If you're practicing anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a skill, which these lifts are, if you're practicing it 5 to 6 times a week for 1 to 2 hours a day, I can guarantee you're going to get a lot better at it. While I did get stronger on my strength lifts, my clean pulls went up, my snatch pulls went up, and my squats went up, both my front and my back squat. While they did increase, plus 10 kilos, my back squat went from 160 to 170, I would argue that the greatest difference in the main reason why I improved wasn't because I got stronger, it's actually because my technique on the lifts actually improved. One thing I would recommend to anyone who is considering starting this program, when you do input your 1RMs at the start, don't put in an ambitious estimate as to what your 1RM is. If, for example, say you do have an 80 kilo snatch, but your form was dog shit on the snatch, you really struggled, your knees caved in, you barely caught it overhead, your elbows are bending, don't put 80 kilos as your 1RM. Put a conservative estimate, something that you know you could probably do right now, today, rather than something you knew you could have done 6 months ago. Put a conservative estimate in for what your 1RM is, because as you go through the program, if you start that as your 1RM, a very, very ambitious estimate as to what your 1RM is, the fatigue is just going to accumulate too much and your body's not going to be able to tolerate it. Better to start slow and then build it up gradually from a lift that you can do quite comfortably, and then build it up like that, rather than trying to be too ambitious and then risking an injury during the program. Overall, I think that the program is pretty good value for money. Even though there are probably similar weightlifting programs out there that are free, I think a good example would be Greg Everett's Catalyst Athletics. They have loads of free programs on their website that do offer pretty much the same thing. The program guide is really good, and if you're a beginner and you don't really know much about fitness and you don't know much about nutrition, then it does give you the basics that you need to get good results from the program. The only thing I think that this program is really missing are video instructions. So I'm kind of looking at this from the perspective of someone who has not much experience with fitness. Maybe they've just gotten into weightlifting 3 months ago. Someone who wasn't necessarily in my position when I started. I think what you would want if you're paying Clarence Kennedy for a program is videos of Clarence Kennedy explaining how to do a snatch and a clean and jerk. For example, on the program, on the Google Sheet spreadsheet, if every single video had a hyperlink to how to complete that exercise, and it's a video of Clarence actually doing it, I think that this program would be a lot more valuable and it would provide a lot more value to the people doing it. Because at the end of the day, that's the reason why this program is selling. People are buying it for the fact that it's Clarence Kennedy. Clarence Kennedy, the guy that has 415 kilo or however many kilo training total that he actually has. People buy it for that reason. So it would make sense that maybe there could be some instructional videos of Clarence explaining how to do the lifts. That's just my 2 cents though. I personally already knew what I needed to do on the form for these lifts because I had a decent amount of experience from doing the weightlifting. But I think someone who was a bit less competent but still would kind of fall into the category of being a beginner for this program, I think that they might struggle to learn the technique from doing this program, and they could actually injure themselves from repeating improper form and improper movement patterns from doing it for 10 weeks. But that's just my thought as a coach, someone who has experience with coaching beginners. So overall, I would recommend this program if you've been weightlifting for a few months and you have okay form on the lifts and you've just kind of been messing around with the snatch and the clean and jerk. I.e., if you've been doing CrossFit for a couple of months, you've been getting sort of into weightlifting movements, you've been getting somewhat teaching and maybe in a class environment where you haven't had necessarily one-to-one coaching on the weightlifting movements, and you want to sort of take them a bit more seriously, you want to get better at the snatch and the clean and jerk, and you are committed to making them better, because this program does require commitment. It's not an easy program. If anything, I would discourage anyone who isn't committed to improving their weightlifting movements. If you're not committed, then do not buy this program. It's not for you. But if you are committed to improving your weightlifting movements and you do want to get stronger, then I would highly recommend this program for you if you are a beginner weightlifter. However, I do also think that there are similar free programs available from Catalyst Athletics, and I would also recommend maybe checking those out first before investing any money in this program. But overall, I would recommend it to you if you are looking to make some gains on the snatch and clean and jerk, just like I did. All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and don't hesitate to check out my Athletic Everyday YouTube series where I go into my personal everyday training to become a better athlete overall, which includes weightlifting. It also includes general strength training. It includes athletic training. It includes sprinting and jumping. It includes calisthenics and so much more. Thanks very much, and I'll catch you in the next one.